Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Friday, April 8th, 2022 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I align my actions with my heart and soul. And that lines up with the Divine Feminine card for the day. I will put that on Instagram later. But today's astro and the cards are very, very, very interesting. So, something that happens when we are near eclipses. When we're near eclipses, the nodes kind of slow down and they oscillate a little bit. The nodes traditionally move in what we consider a retrograde fashion. Like their direct motion is retrograde. However, right now, the nodes are direct and hence their personal retrograde. We've had the nodes working at 22 degrees. They've moved forward to 23 degrees. They're going to kind of like oscillate here, move back and forth. Now, with this movement at 23 degrees Taurus and 23 degrees Scorpio, they are in a sextile and a trine with Jupiter and Neptune, now at 23 Pisces, moving into their conjunction, going into that exact conjunction next week. I believe it's the 12th. So, all of this astro energy, the thing about Jupiter and Neptune, it's really good. Like, this is blessed, divine, mystic, magical, miracle energy. There can be so much good in this. Our work in leaning towards the good is leaning into the Taurus, leaning into the abundance, leaning into the nature, leaning into being grounded, leaning into our values, leaning into feeling value. It's such a plush feeling. And it doesn't have to, it's not like in a haughty way. It is just in, like the way that came out, it's just in like natural, like Mother Earth, Gaia energy. Leaning in towards that. That is where the best case scenarios are going to come from. We still have lessons though. South Node Scorpio, there's still lessons in there. And one of the lessons is not being sucked into fear. This astro can be super instant karma, it feels like, with the Pisces and the Scorpio energy and with the Cancer energy feeding in. This may be through emotional energy. It can be very reactional. Fears coming to life. The buzz on my phone rather than the usual dings, like, bzz. Let's not go that way, right? So your awareness is so key. Also feeding into this, karmic master, Saturn, at 22 degrees, building to that 23 degree, but Saturn still feeding into this is like, you've got to learn your lessons and frequency, vibration, who you are is such a huge piece of that. And so we're going to find all of this coming into play today, all of this coming into play over the weekend, and a few more things feeding in. So the few more things feeding in, we have Mercury preparing to finish up in the sign of Aries. Mercury today connecting to Mars. So if you are somebody who had wonky technology issues today, or communication stuff, or just weirdness, this could definitely be the combination of Mercury and Mars in the sextile. A sextile is a beautiful connection. However, Mercury always has its mischief. If you've been watching me a long time, I always talk about the Mercury mischief. And Mars and Aquarius. Aquarius also brings that electrical mental vibration. And so I was like, oh, what's happening with all of these weird things going on for everybody? I have had many very minor technology issues. It's definitely in part these two energies coming together. So that is happening today, relatively early in the day, 11:19 a.m. Pacific time. We have this sextile between them. What I will say with this is what I've been saying between these Aries and Aquarius vibes. Check yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Truly. Check yourself before you get reactional. Now, feeding into this, like I mentioned, is the moon in Cancer. So we're actually going to have the moon in Cancer connecting to Uranus and in a square with the sun. Actually, all three of these connections are all happening in the 11 a.m. or no, sorry, 2 of them are in the 11 a.m. hour. 1 is in the p.m. All at 11 though. Healing energy, right? Moon sextile Uranus. Again, a beautiful connection, and yet Uranus can be very triggering. And again, it's feeling like a lot of worthiness stuff around who you are may be coming up. Then we're building into that Sun squaring the Moon. Sun squaring the Moon, and then this weekend, Mercury squaring Pluto, and Moon opposite Pluto. This weekend, starting Friday, it feels combustible, and I will share with you. I've got really interesting cards, but in the interestingness of the cards is the Thunderbolt. And so there may be some of those moments coming through in and through this, between the feels of Cancer, which can make us feel very emotional, whether we know why or not, the karmic energies that are going on, which can bring up really deep stuff, the nodal lessons, and then we just throw some Aries on top of that, like just light a match. It can be combustible. So being very aware of your feels, tending to your feels, being aware of where your emotions and the stories that come with your emotions and the mental feels that come with your emotions and your triggers, being aware of all of these things is going to be very important in not, blowing it all up. I have to say though, right next to, there's multiple possibilities in here. Right next to the Thunderbolt card, I have the Friendliness card. Being rooted, reaching for the stars, spending time in nature feels like the antidote to this energy. So be aware of that. I had this as well. The Isolation card versus the Integration card. If you are feeling lonely, if you're feeling misunderstood, isolated, noticing where you can integrate within yourself can be very healing in and through this energy. The Burden card, watch the mind, because your mind is going to either support you in rising up or it's going to try to push you over the edge, depending on how you have trained and worked your monkeys, right? So lots of awareness needed in and through this energy, and just realize chances are it's going to be this. Please don't forget in the background the miracles that are available, especially when you're feeling frustrated. Like, this is not the time to fall off the deep end. This is the time to pray. This is the time to surrender to the universe and recognize there are usually solutions beyond what we can even recognize. And going back to this card and the mantra for the day, do align your actions with your heart and your soul, and that's going to support you through any of the challenging energies that come up and move through. So that is it for today. You can book a reading with me. Eclipse readings available. They have been very potent. It's definitely very potent eclipses. First one coming up on April 30th. Do that by emailing me. Besides that, the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and honor your values. Namaste.